Hi, my name is Ryan, and today I'm working on some shop lights. So I use these dollar store lights as my filming and shop lights. They're pretty bright. The box claims 900 lumens, which I think is a bit optimistic, but regardless, they're bright enough for workbench work and stuff like that. Now, the thing is, it's hard to put these above and around my work, and I would like to mount it to something that's flexible to hold it up, so that I can put it wherever I need. As well, they're powered by AAAs, which don't last very long, and I don't like how many batteries are going through, especially since I'm using them in the shop. So I'm going to convert them to USB, so I can just plug them into the wall when I need, and plug them into a power bank when I need them to be portable. So first, let's get this open. Okay, so you can see on the back here, it's got a little magnet that's pretty useless. These hooks are kind of useful. It's powered by 3 AAA batteries. And the thing is, so it's 1.5, 3, 4.5 volts. So it uses roughly 4.5 volts, which means I should be able to just directly wire in the USB and use 5 volts directly. Small chance I'll destroy this light doing that, but it's a dollar store light, so I'm not super worried about it. First, let's take these batteries out. I'm actually going to switch and put these in my filming light because they're dying. There we go. Okay, so let's get a screwdriver and take this apart. That's true. Dead simple. So it looks like this and this. So this and this are the main 2 leads. Before we go any further, let's make sure that this will actually work on USB. So my USB cable here. Snip the end I don't need off. Doing this with a knife instead of wire strippers because this is fabric cladding. Okay, so in a typical USB cable, red and black will be power. Now there's no black wire in here, but we have this pink wire, which I assume is red. Green and white are usually for data, which we don't need. So by process of elimination, this is probably our negative power. Probably. If the cable wasn't built to standard, then, well, who knows. But we're going to assume for now that this is positive power and this is negative power. Betcha I can strip this with my fingernails. Yep. So then I can strip with my fingernails. Positive. So that will make this side negative. This is just temporary to see if this will actually work. I'm going to plug this to a USB power supply and see if it will turn on. Yep. USB works. Nice. So now we can get to work. So I need to cut a hole here for both the power supply and the support wire to go. So I'm going to go get a drill. So now I've pulled it through. I can see this is the positive one. So I'm going to get my soldering iron and solder the positive to the positive. As I've said before, soldering is not something I'm particularly good at. I'm going to screw it back together now just because these wires are kind of fragile. And on this side, I'm just going to solder it to the spring. So I'll put it back together just to keep it from getting damaged. Shove the negative wire in there. Solder it right to that spring. Good enough. I'll just test to make sure that worked. Yep. Perfect. Now on to the support. So I kind of want to shove this thing in through the same hole and glue it in place, or epoxy it in place. So I'm going to cut some of this cladding off right about there. That will be enough to hold it because these things are not very heavy. And don't worry about it contacting here. With no batteries in here, there's nothing electrical connected to that. Okay, so this is 5-minute epoxy. It's supposed to set in 5 minutes, so I'm going to leave it and see what happens. Okay, and the epoxy is hardened. It's not at full strength yet, but good enough to handle. Put this back cap back on here. And make sure it's working. That's weird. I think that might have more to do with this power supply. Yep, this power supply is almost dead. Let's try this now. Yeah, it's working just fine. It's just this power supply that was going dead. Now I was going to go and zip tie this part to a clamp to clamp it to things, but I found that this flexible piece is actually good enough to attach to most things, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Just an update. I made the mistake of hooking this to a 2 amp power supply, and it got a little bit toasty and fried. I did make a second one though, and keeping it hooked to a 1 amp power supply seems to work just fine. So if you do one of these, don't hook it to a 2 amp power supply.